What we're going to do now is probably the worst case scenario. You've come on from the pub, you've sat watching one of these videos and you decide to take the pulley off. You know, we've all done it when we've had a few drinks. We all get full of bravado. And then we go to bed and then we forget all about this. Next morning we wake up and think, oh, what the hell have we done now? So, we've taken the pulley off, but we've forgot to do this pin here. Right, so let's do it. We've taken that off. Where's my 10mm gone here? So, we've got the pulley off, and then we've done that. We've slackened this bolt off by mistake. Oh no, perish. What we're going to do? Well, it's quite easy to get back to where we started from, because you don't know where this. You've turned it around and you've turned this bit around and you don't know where you are. Well, it's not the end of the world. You see, for example, when I told you earlier that the keyway at the front here, it only goes slightly off centre, but it's around about the 5 o'clock mark. And if we look very wires down here. If you look very carefully, there's a little mark, as we mentioned earlier, and there's the keyway, so it's just off ever so slightly. But even if you turn this round, as long as you get it to that position, you're alright, and I'll tell you for the reason why. If we look at another pump, this is number 1 cylinder, 1342. 1 is at this position here, so the keyway lines up. Alright, let's do this. I don't know if I can do this together. So let's do this back to back here. This looks a better idea. Watch it fall on floor. Yeah. You get nipped in there. There we go. So there's going to be a bit of a difficult imagining this, but there's one end and there's the other. So the keyway here lines up with number 1 cylinder here. Alright? Keyway number 1. It's all in a line. I'll zoom out a bit so you can actually see that. Alright? There it is. So that's how we can't really go wrong. We can't get our timing wrong. We could put the pulley on wrong, but we can't get the timing all that wrong. So now, knowing where the number 1 cylinder is in comparison, we know we're on the right stroke. So all we've got to do now is do the timing. Now you can see on here there is a bolt in the back. Now I've done a few videos on doing this before, but we'll do it again just in case, because it gets my views up. So that's what we're going to take off, and we're going to put that over there, because that's a job for another day. And we're going to bring this over here, and we're going to clamp it in the vise using a bit of engineering wood like that, so we can see what we're doing. Probably won't clamp there, but let's have a go. Oops. Right, so we need to have a little kit like this. Unfortunately, we need this bit. We need the gauge, but when you buy the kit, well, this was a EWK. I think it cost me about $80. They're not that expensive, maybe 40-50 quid in the UK. But when you buy this set, it comes generally very early in the morning, you know. Generally it comes just with that, if you see what I mean. It just comes with that gauge. Nice little dial gauge. What we need, so you could buy a dial gauge, but if you haven't got the adapters, you're still not winning, because you see this adapter here screws in the back of the VE pump. So we put, and then you sort of need an extension. The extension goes into here, Must make sure that's nice and clean. And then that goes onto there, and once that's screwed into your pump, then you can turn this and then clamp this one, and it all locks in together. So you do really need this, because it's in what? Let's have a look, what's it in? 1/10 of a millimetre. So we're going to screw this in, and it's going to hit on the piston at the back of the injector pump. I'll move the pipe. I'll move the camera around in a minute to show you what we're talking about. Right. So at the moment, we've got this bolt on loose here. This is loose. We've got the gauge in. You can probably see, and we've got no flange, no nut, nothing on the front. What we're going to do is temporarily put the flange on. Doesn't matter where it goes. It matters where I put the nut. Where I put the nut? I'm going to put the nut on and turn the shaft. Now at the moment, if you can see here, let's just I'm going to turn the shaft and put the pin in to lock up the there we go. Just so I can lock the nut up a bit. Alright, so now we can feel there on the spring it's going to go somewhere, and you can see what happens when I start to go against the spring. It's starting to lift up. So making sure that this is backed off fully. That's at neutral. On neutral, there's no lift on it. We're going to set the gauge to 0. I bet you, I don't know, bloody paper towels, nothing here, weren't it? Oh, mucky old raggy. Let's see if we can clean this gauge up a bit better. Yeah, how's that? So we're going to set this to 0. Alright? And we're going to make sure the needle is nice and free. Now I'm going to step over to the other side so you can see this. So we're going to turn it to there. 160 we're going to set this one to. Actually, it's going a bit far there. We set that to 160. That's our timing spot. Now you can see here, wait a minute, I'll take this off, because we've just roughly guessed where it was. And you can see how far out we are with the slot. We're slightly out. So what we do now is we take the nut off, take the flange off, put it in that place, and that's it. That's all we have to do. It's not rocket science. If I can do it, anybody can do it. So let's do that. Let's take that nut off. I wonder if it's going to come off without any trouble. I think it's going to be trouble. So, let's do it real time. We're going to grab hold of that flange so we don't disturb any settings. I'm going to grab that in a vise and just take that nut off because it was a bit tight. Oh. Put it back in the vise. We mustn't disturb the shaft. I think this pump is all clogged up with vegetable oil because it's not sort of turning very nice. So, flange off again, leave the nut on, doesn't really matter now. Right, so turn it off. So there, it just came off. It was really easy. You can see there it's all nice and free. Check you're still on 160. Put your pin in and make sure your pin goes all the way down to the bottom. Don't get it right at the very end because it'll be slobbery. Now this pin is it's a nice fit in the housing, but you can see how sloppy it is on the front. So sometimes once you've got your timing belt on, put the gauge back in the back once the pump's all assembled, and then you can set it really accurately with the pin that goes under the flywheel housing, and it locks into the pin. So when you turn your engine, when it goes click and it locks in place, this should be at 160. And there's 3 bolts on the front of your flange here. There's 3. The front cover the front drive pulley's on slots, so you can actually turn it to get it really accurate. But by doing it this way, we get somewhat in the ballpark, and away we go. So then all you got to do is nip that nut up just ever so slightly, and then take it out of the vise, grab this in the vise and tighten it up. So that's quite straightforward, and I don't think you can get lost. And that's it. So when you take your pin in and out, it's going to be fine. Alright, so that's how you do it. But remember, your fine tuning can be done on the vehicle with a belt, because like I say, you're going to get a little bit of slack with this pin. Right, so I think that's covered that. We didn't use that many tools. Nothing fancy. I mean, it's just a shame with this box here that we don't use half of this stuff, but there's a few essential bits that we need. Alright, so I hope you like that. I hope it's, alleviated some shadows on these pumps, because they are kind of, well, they're kind of simple, but a lot of people are asking me questions, and I thought I'd do it in a video so you know that if you lose your flange, your settings, it's quite easy to put back together again. Alright, so we'll talk to you later.